And there we are. Welcome into another edition of TigerBait Live. Buddy Songy back in the studio after I went solo last week. Got lots to discuss. Couple of weeks of LSU football camps. We've been out at every single one of them. Elite camp starts tomorrow and Friday. Official visitors are starting to roll in. Of course, June is a nice, solid month of official recruiting visitors for LSU football. LSU football coaches making the rounds, doing interviews. And so we got that. We've got a lot of baseball news as far as attrition that Buddy wants to get into. And all that, of course, is brought to you by Pride Roofing, the official roofing company of TigerBait.com. We'll hear from Mike and Alex Martinez a little bit later in the show. And I also want to say congratulations to Tony Freeman with Assurance Financial. Got married on Saturday. Congrats to her. She's actually one of two friends of mine that I looked up on Facebook Saturday and out of the blue got married in small ceremonies. So, but I absolutely happy for her and her new husband. And so, but we got a lot to talk about tonight. We're in the 80s, I think, numbers of days till football season. So, how you doing, buddy?
Good to see you. That is the Scarborough Buddy effect. They know us. They know we're not going to get married. My doctor did give me the all go ahead for the summer. Stay hydrated, folks. Some serious heat out there. You're going to get a lot of sand kicked up on your purple and gold beach towel, especially from Ole Miss and Tennessee and everybody else in the panhandle. So we're going to get into that. We're going to get into football recruiting. Is Brian Kelly going to deliver? Are these early results alarming? Baseball, lost Dan Fitzgerald. He coached third base and was the recruiting coordinator. He took the head job at Kansas. And obviously, Mike, we have some tidbits. Spring game was on the SEC network. Somebody texted me. I saw a little bit more of that. I'm going to say what position I think this year is going to be the most improved to the naked eye when you see LSU play this year from what you saw in the spring. And then, of course, baseball, NIL, trying to bring in a pitcher, trying to bring in a shortstop, and that NIL, name, image, and likeness, it finally got done with old John Bell Edwards. And so now we're going to see if LSU and the state of Louisiana can tweak the way they've been doing NIL and get with the big boys. Now, look, folks, there are 7, 8, 9, 10 teams that you're going to have trouble catching. You're not going to catch A&M and Texas and some of these other guys. Oh, by the way, did you hear this one? NCAA sent a couple of interns down to Miami to interview the billionaire John Ruiz. I said interns because they don't have any policing and they don't have, it's a cluster.
And does he even need to talk to them?
Well, but my point is that, so we got a lot today on
Nurse Court says, what's up, waiting on the other show to end. Are you telling me that my boy Blake ran long again? I'm going to start going live at 6:57. How you like them apples?
Well, don't start a summertime.
Oh yeah, we're gonna have a feud.
We do wish him a speedy recovery from foot and mouth disease. Oh, I'm sorry, COVID. I'm sorry, my bad. Freudian slip. COVID. So really, all kidding aside.
Kenny Futch says, "Good evening, Nurse Court." So we are waiting. Kenny Futch. Okay. BK Takeover says, "What's everyone? What's up, everyone?" Aunt Marshall. What's up, Mike and Buddy? Glad to have you with us, Ant.
Love Ant and Pooh Bear.
Yeah, they do a great show on Sunday nights. Doug knows what's happening, folks. Glad to have you with us, Dane Bergeron. Good evening, guys. Alley Boy, let's go. Happy Hump Day, Mike and Buddy, says Kenny Futch. And LGZ, what's up, fellas? And there he is, Pooh Bear, the Golden Boot Pod, Mike and Buddy in the building. He and Ant and, is it Daniel?
Yeah, they do a great job. And I checked out their whole interview with Emory Jones and of course, Nick Harrison, some other guys. And so, hey, look, I got started because I wanted to get in this business 30-something years ago. And that's the beautiful thing about life. If you want something.
So Nurse Court was starting trouble.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, because he says, I didn't run late. So I think Nurse Court was trying to stir the pot.
She
is
going to win some spicy man the sausage Nurse Court and O. Danny. I heard the comments last week. You're throwing me under the bus because I haven't been in the movie theaters. And O. Danny chimes in and says, yeah, it's probably black and white the last time the Budman went in. Hey, great idea. Thanks for telling me about Tom Cruise. And I wanted Kelly McGillis once again to be the feature female attraction until I saw what she looks like. Poor baby, she looks like a female Buddy.
Oh boy, oh boy.
Well, no, I feel you showed me that picture. I love the movie though.
Yeah, no, it was actually. In fact, I saw it again Sunday night. I've seen it twice. I think that it's now the number one grosser of the year.
Yeah.
And that's just gonna keep on. I got a couple of friends tonight. We're going to see it for a third time.
Yeah. Well, all the folks out there in the summertime, look, this is the time of the year where, Mike, everybody throws something up against the wall and hope it sticks. And I'm going to throw a couple things out there, and I think they're going to stick, and most of them related to football. You've got some, obviously, some football scoop, and you've been keeping up with this. And so let's kind of start it off right here as we get to subscribers. What's your early impression of where LSU is for 2023 in its recruiting class, and is it cause for concern, or is it way too early to be worrying about all that because of the implication that NIL brings to the table?
I don't know if it is to be cause for concern, but a few months from now, do I look back and say, you know what, back in May, they should have been more. It was the right for LSU fans to be anxious and worried. So I do think there's a lot of things. I think there's multiple factors going here. Brand new staff, state not being loaded, and then some of the guys that make it what it is are at positions where you're not going to, the two quarterbacks go off the board. You're not getting either one of those, Holstein or Manning. We talk about Jaden Osbury and Takis Curtis each and every week. Omarion Miller falls off a week ago. We'll see what happens, how that plays out going forward. You got Derek Williams out there. That's going to be a dogfight the whole way. And so I think it's a combination of this staff getting their bearings, having to recruit well out of state, and then a whole lot of, I think, prospects probably want to see what the LSU product under Brian Kelly is going to look like. So while you want to get as many commitments as you can before Labor Day, is there some kids out there that say, you know what, I want to see the offense. I want to see how they operate. I want to see, what that new defense looks like under Matt House, whatever the position is. So, but the flip side of it is, if Dante Moore is going to make a decision and we don't know what that date's going to be, he's a quarterback and you want that decision to happen sooner rather than later because he's a catalyst spot. He's a 5-star quarterback, and those guys are Pied Pipers, and they attract other top recruits. And because he's a national recruit, these guys are all in DMs, and, of course, we know how tight-knit the 22 class was. And all those guys recruiting each other and communicating, Walker and Will and Emery and so forth. So we're used to seeing late teens numbers of commitment by Labor Day. I don't know that they're getting there.
The landscape has changed.
And even if you had those, like we see each and every week, does it matter?
Well, first of all, what does a verbal commitment mean in 2022? I'm not going to beat up the changes because this is the most important decision in their life, whether it's 17 or 18. And it is a very convoluted situation and decision now because of NIL. And we keep bringing this up is because it's a changing landscape. I asked Mike specifically today, Omarion Miller decommits. Is he, and let's just throw it out there. So you decommit. Now you have other schools that say, hey, I want you to come visit. And so now you accrue, if you really think about it, a decommitment gets you more NIL possibilities.
I can tell you something else.
Right?
But here's the other part of it. All right. You have the spring evaluation period, and college coaches go up to North Caddo, and they go all over the place. But if you're going to play that game, and you're not going to come to camp, and you're not going to compete, and you're not going to visit, Sure. I say it every show I'm on. It's a red flag for me. So, I feel like it sounds like I'm picking on Tackett Curtis, but he hasn't competed in camps anywhere. And I'm sorry.
But he's still getting offers from USC and Ohio State and everybody else.
Yeah. But, what's going on with Lance Hurd? Neville, offensive lineman. There's not many offensive linemen in the state that have offers from LSU that can commit.
By the way.
But if he's going to play, look at all the offensive linemen that LSU's bringing in this month. Between official visits, camp visits, unofficial visits. I mean, they've got a lengthy list to choose from.
Nurse Court went to Neville. I think they're waiting for her to reel him in.
Okay.
Okay. But, hey, here's the other thing I want to interject what you were talking about as to how early it is. This is a new game everybody's playing. Two things, major things just happened. I just said it. JBE signed the NIL deal, which is going to open up a whole new opportunity for LSU. As we know, the NCAA made it statewide, so everybody that's got different states, different laws, Louisiana getting more in snuff. Of course, Alabama did that, 6 months ago. But, Mike, remember this. You got unlimited signees for 2023 because of the fact that as long as you don't go over 85, you can bring in 35.
I think it's entirely possible where we're sitting here just focusing on high school prospects and having the mindset like we always have, the 25. And now you're going to the 85, and there's no 25 limit. And, of course, BK and staff got here and inherited a lot of commitments that stayed on board from Orgeron and then added their own. But it also could be where the number of high school kids that we're thinking would be normal is not going to be the number, and they're going to go big another year with the portal before they settle in. So does that number look a lot different that we have in our mind right now? You brought up something, and then Ant just said it. Could some of the recruits have been waiting for this NIL law to pass before committing?
Sure.
Now they can talk to the coaches about deals before committing.
Yeah.
That could be possible. It was also floated to me last weekend that, and I think, and I do think it's entirely possible. This is true as well, that Brian Kelly and staff have players that have told them, Coach, I'm coming. I just want to take some visits, and it could be where there's no where and I'm just going to say a conversation like I'm a coach. Yeah, no need for you to go ahead and announce commitment because we're okay with you not announcing it right now. Because they, it could be that they don't want the bullseye on their back. They don't want all the focus to be on them with negative recruiting. And so is there maybe 5 or 6 guys that told Coach Kelly, I'm coming, I'm committed, count me in, whatever. But I don't, maybe they don't want to announce to their grandmother's birthday in October. So every kid's got a different scenario.
You know what I interjected on the show today. And they don't want to lose 25 spots in all these major services because, as we know, Bama gets you an uptick and LSU gets you a downtick. That's not fanning me saying that. That's reality. But there's one other thing I think we need to interject, and everybody.
Because I don't want to look back on this 3 months from now and say, boy, we sound like we were making a bunch of excuses.
Because it's not even, look, we haven't even bought the groceries for the 2023 class, much less start to cook it in the saute pot. But here's the thing, and I've got this from 4 or 5 people, and I think LSU fans need to understand this. Brian Kelly is looking for a different type of player at LSU as previous coaches. And we've had this discussion. And you talk about changing the culture. If I asked you, has he changed the culture in 7 months, what would you say?
I believe that.
Yeah, me too. Because of the interviews, the accountability, all the things that the brother here. Look, he's more worried about personality traits, character traits, academic history. Do you do the right thing? Are you going to be a pain in the ass off the field? And then
Saban says the same things, and he took Eli Ricks.
But then you throw in the talent. So what I'm saying to you is that every 5-star that you think, man, why aren't they going after? They have reasons, and I'm not going to mention anybody, but there were a couple, I was told, last year in that class. Now, he got here, and he had to sign a class in 16 days and another one in February. But I'm just saying they're looking at more than just how fast you run the 40 and how well you throw the fade. They're looking for a different type of player, and I don't think any of us are going to be able to predict how quickly he gets the kind of team he wants on the field and how quickly they're going to compete with Alabama and this loaded SEC West.
Doug knows. How are we feeling about Dante Moore visiting A&M this weekend, assuming Rashada picks Florida with a question mark? Look, A&M wants to get in there pretty bad, and we're going to see what happens. That could be totally turned up on its head. Buddy asked me today what I thought the percentage was of LSU right now, and I thought 60-65% LSU. That's the number I put on it. But you know, this thing ain't this. It's not over with. I like where LSU's at, but if A&M doesn't get Dante Moore, they're going to go try and see if they can take Baylor's quarterback commitment. Rashada picks Florida. Yeah, that's the last I got. I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't see LSU being in the mix there, so I haven't been chasing down Rashada this week at all. But it's funny how 2 months ago that was Oregon.
Well, look, I asked you this question today, and I hate to keep repeating this, but I asked Mike. Ryan Day, of course, has done a great job at Ohio State, and everybody wanted to see Burrow and Ohio State play each other, and everybody knows that Ryan Day has been up there in the CFP playoffs. But he said the going rate for a top-notch quarterback with NIL was now 1.5 to 2 million. Now, I guess he's stretching that over 3 years. But my point is that this is what pisses me off a little bit. He's going to A&M, so they're going to tell him, hey, dude, you want to come here? We're going to give you 2.5. Just arbitrary numbers to discuss. Now you come back to LSU, and this is what we're saying. This happened with Jacoby Matthews. It happened with a lot of players, and we saw Texas A&M was ahead of the game, and we saw the tinkling match between him and Jimbo and Saban. My point is that at what point, Mike, does the staff and the coach say,
I think it gets
I'm not going that high for this guy?
That's what Brian Kelly does. That's what he will do, and he's done it.
And so how can you predict how that's going to happen? I did get this
There's a little
tidbit.
scenario with that with Jacoby Matthews.
I did get this little tidbit from my Aggie buddy today. They are hosting Dante Moore, and they're going to have him be led around the campus, all the facilities, by the Texas A&M senior who has graduated, but he's in graduate school because he's got the recipe for ice. And you know how hot it is. Look, Aggies are buying everything, whether Jimbo wants it or not. But guess what? I'm different than you. LSU's got Garrett Nussmeier, a freshman, and Walker Howard, a freshman. And so if they don't get Dante Moore...
Have Aggie jokes kind of died?
Yeah, of course, except for me. But look, my point is this. You got 2 freshman quarterbacks. Is that going to figure into the plans? Because this guy is not going to walk in here and start.
What's the one about the Aggie fan who arrived 3 months late for the LSU game?
Yeah. Look.
He said it took forever to get there because all the signs said clean bathrooms.
Yeah. Well, look.
All right. Hold on. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I don't think Dante Moore is the key piece simply because I think Nussmeier and Howard have put LSU in a quarterback situation that they have not seen. When's the last time LSU had 2 pretty darn good potential quarterbacks as freshmen? Now, Garrett is a redshirt freshman, and Walker's a true freshman and probably will redshirt. But my point is that, yeah, I'd love to see Dante Moore, but money and his ability to walk in here and play, there's some roadblocks here. So this is going to be a hard – I know you got 60%. I know he loves it. But if they offer him $2.5 or $3 million, Mike, LSU can't – I just don't think they can compete with that.
Let's hear from Mike Faraday and Alex Martinez with their new TV spot that we've got.
Hi, I'm Michael.
I'm Alex.
At Pride Roofing, we handle commercial and residential work.
TPO, shingle, and metal inventory.
We got it. Property still in disarray from the recent hurricanes and hailstorms. Insurance claims?
No problem. But you know Pride Roofing is the official roofer at TigerBait.com.
In fact, notify TigerBait and we'll give you a free roof inspection. And on top of that, you get a free year subscription. Call 855-PRIDE-16. Se habla español.
I like it, man. Alex with his Tommy Bahama style shirt with the Pride Roofing logo on one side and LSU logo on the other. They're looking sharp. But as always, Pride Roofing, we couldn't do it without them each and every week. We thank them for being the title sponsor of the show, the official roofing company of TigerBait.com. Give them a call, 855-PRIDE-16. They're continuing to run that promo. If you have any roofing issues, commercial or residential, call them up. Tell them you need a free roof inspection. Please, please tell them you heard about them right here on TigerBait.com. And when you do that, if you're not already a subscriber, they're going to pay for you to have TigerBait free for a year. So you cannot beat that. They're footing the bill. And so give them a call right there in Albany, Louisiana, home base on Florida Boulevard. Swing in there, see their yard. And, of course, they got a big acquisition right across the street.
I was looking at some stuff with Crown Metals, and I'm going to go over there next week and meet all those people with, and the metal and the trim and all the things that they do. It's just amazing to see just how incredibly detailed all of that is, and so many people have had to deal with them because Crown Metals and Pride Roofing folks joined forces and now are one big conglomerate. They care about you. They take great pride. They're fun to deal with. They live up to what they say. And Mike Kirby, who you know really well, I had 2 or 3 people already deal with Mike Kirby. And, you know, I'll give you a perfect, for instance, she says, Mike's running late. I said, just relax. 2 minutes later, he calls and said, hey, I'm running late. I'll be there 15 minutes. Communicated, what do we say? Trust and communication, the key to every relationship. Mike Kirby, 445-1071. That is his personal cell phone number. He's the salesman in Baton Rouge. And once again, throughout the Southeast, Mike, Pride Roofing, Crown Metals, a hell of a combination.
Getting big in New Orleans, big in Lafayette. They've got you covered anywhere in South Louisiana, Gulf Coast, Mississippi, all the way up to Jackson, Mississippi, up 55. And they've been in Alexandria as well. So they've got you covered in a big, big territory. And, of course, you're not going to beat their service and attention to detail. And like I always say, too, if you've got a typical size Louisiana home, you know, 3-4 baths, 2,000 square feet to 3,000 square foot, whatever it is, they can get you knocked out in a day sometimes.
Oh, they do it in a day. And especially now with the extra
it's like a Rolex watch.
It's getting dark at 8:08 now.
Oh, yeah.
So, but look, great people to deal with. I promise you, you're not going to have any loose ends. You're get all your questions answered. And 855-PRIDE-16, tell them Mike and Buddy sent you over.
Blaine Smith says, Jordan Matthews got the offer from the new staff. Where does LSU stand? Look, I know there was a lot of excitement. We're going to see how it plays out. You know, it's one of those deals where you extend an offer and, you know, I think for a while there, you know, where all the offers were coming in, Clemson, Alabama, Georgia, a lot of big offers there, and LSU comes in last and late. Usually you've got some feelings that you got to smooth over. But I have a hard time believing that with the charm offensive and him being right here at home, that's going to be hard for him to lay off of that one.
On the flip side, not that I'm the contrarian tonight, but we saw both Osberries, and of course, you know, the big corner who I think is going to develop and a good football player is at Auburn, and Jaden, of course, who I think is probably going to get a little bit bigger this year, is looking everywhere, and they're going to probably go, you know, blaze their own trail. This young man might also want to do the same thing. I detected in the interview, who did that? Preston? Who did the interview?
Yeah, Preston did.
Okay, good job with the interview. But I did detect a little bit of like, you know, you should have been flirting a little bit more the last year. So don't expect me to just kiss and make out and want to go to bed right now.
Oh yeah,
it's going to take a while before you land my signature. And look, this is another thing. That's
and look, and it's not just him at Woodlawn.
Yeah.
Okay, because let's say Dante Moore goes to Texas A&M and he walks out of there with a $6 million deal, and it's over. Okay, well, who's the next in line? Well, Ricky. Well, Ricky's kind of like Jordan too. You know, where you been? You're going to come in on me now? You know, so, you know, that's.
But here's the bottom line: if you want to live in Louisiana after you finish your career, you want to go to Auburn, you want to go to LSU. No brainer for me. especially with the cluster frick that is Brian Harsin. And I'll tell you this, he's a hell of a recruiter. Just go look at those picks.
Yeah. And we're going to see how that plays out too. I keep wondering, and it's one of the points that you make is you want to continue to recruit kids, even the ones you're not going to get. And so I was higher on Austin Osbury than a lot of people were last year because I think he's got a lot of upside. Is that a kid that goes to Auburn and then seeing how that thing plays out and ends up coming right back home through the transfer portal at some point?
Well, you made a good point about Holstein. And, of course, we've been talking about this, so let's go ahead and address it because somebody's going to ask it, Mike, during the chat tonight. Let's go ahead and spit it out. You were there with a host of other media and celebs. What did Arch Manning look like? Is he getting better, or do you still see a little bit distance from him, Holstein, Walker, and others that have been compared favorably? And, nothing against the Mannings, but is this guy the number one ranked player in the state because of his last name?
I hate that I say it on every show, because he comes up. I don't think he's the number one player in the country, and I don't think he's the number one quarterback in Louisiana. He doesn't have a very strong arm. But you know what? We said the same thing about his uncle. And so I think, first of all, look, I laughed. I said it last night on that Twitter Spaces I went in. Every time I look up Orange Bloods, the Texas Rivals site on their YouTube channel, which I subscribe just to, I know those guys. I mean, they can't go a day without putting up an Arch Manning a video that has Arch Manning in the thumbnail. Well, why are they doing that? Because it sells. And it's not just each individual college team site. It's the national networks. Arch Manning sells. There's a reason why every New Orleans TV station is at every Newman game. It's the views. It's the hits. It's, if the TV cameras on one of them practice fields for 7-on-7 last week were actually boats and they were in the Pontchartrain, you could walk across them. That's how many media were there surrounding the 7-on-7 field when Arch was throwing, combined with all the current LSU players. You had Walker Howard, Nussmeier, Bo Bordelon, Fitzgerald West with a cast on his arm.
Those good.
Well, I think that was out there.
Yeah.
He's going to redshirt anyways.
But he's 3 years away from playing in college. He's got one more year at high school. I think everybody will agree he's a late bloomer. Look, I'm not saying he's Joe Burrow, but Joe Burrow was a late bloomer, and he's turned out all. I don't think any of us are going to project.
I would not rate him number one. And I would not.
But right now, that's what I'm trying to point out. Right now, he does not deserve the rankings. 3 years from now, he will probably look totally different.
If you want to put him in the National 100, if you want to go ahead and hedge your bet, you want to keep him high so you don't look like a buffoon in 3 or 4 years, I'd put him in the back end of the National 100. To me, that'd be a safe spot. But I would not have him as a 5-star, and I wouldn't have him number one overall.
So you're going to say that right now you don't see him duplicating what his 2 uncles did?
I just can't go from what I saw Walker Howard do for 3 years at St. Thomas More and having seen him since a 9th grader and the throws he can make and the velocity and how quick the ball comes out of his hand and knowing he can take the ball in the shotgun and immediately turn right or left and throw it on a rope to a receiver and know there's virtually no chance it can be jumped, unless he sails one or it takes too long or somebody really guesses the count. I don't see Arch Manning making those throws.
Yeah, well, I'm just saying I don't think any of us are going to know what he's going to look like in 3 years, and I don't think he will be a big-time factor anywhere until 3 years. Look, from the marketing standpoint, if it's Texas or Georgia, it's a no-brainer. You give this guy $2 or $3 million, and he signs under the arches with McDonald's. He ought to have Arch Manning ought to have a lifetime McDonald's deal. Should never pay for a Big Mac ever again. You remember that daddy that wouldn't let his kid ever eat a Big Mac?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Let's see. Blaine Smith says, I don't envy Mike because NAL can easily change recruits' minds. Blaine, I just had this scenario in my mind come into November, first 2 weeks of December, where everything you think you know about LSU's recruiting class, and it's going to go for any school in America, is going to get turned up on its head. I'll go to bed at 11 o'clock midnight, 1 in the morning, and I'll wake up the next morning. Everything that we thought was accurate at 10 o'clock that night before could be upside down the next morning. And it could be flip-flopping for 2 weeks as soon as December 1 gets here.
Which is why a verbal commitment in the summertime, I'm going to give you the Aaron Rodgers. Tiger fans, go to the beach, represent Louisiana, and RELAX, relax. All four of your big major sports are going to be appreciably better. Calendar-wise, football going to be better. Men's and women's basketball, it's going to be cool to be in the PMAC next year. I'm going to just tell you that right now. And Jay Johnson is going to overturn this roster. Now he's got to have another coach. Of course, his pitching coach is up for possibly the Washington gig. So, but Jay Johnson is ahead. But those four sports that we just mentioned, football, men's basketball, women's basketball, baseball, I project to be appreciably better and go farther than they all went this year.
Chance Babin, hashtag Ask Mike, how did you have Josh Booty versus Peyton Manning rated back then? Well, I wasn't a part of any rankings back then. In fact, I probably just started, what year would that have been, like 91? 92?
I got the kid on the show, and he had just signed a $1.6 million contract with the Florida Marlins, Josh Booty.
Right, but what year would that have been?
Oh, man.
I just started doing a sports talk show on Lafayette Radio, and I was starting to get into recruiting, but it was really, that was the days of 900 numbers and Southeastern Recruiting Alliance and getting a newsletter in the mail, and going into your carport with AM radio, trying to see if you can get Bill King and WLAC it late at night to get recruiting info there. I mean, it was something else.
And Ant would tell you, as old as I am, I can't remember Booty from the 90s.
But one of them was a parade All-American. One of them was like a Gatorade. Most LSU fans absolutely wanted Josh Booty. Evangel was a machine at that time. They were like 1 and 2. Mm-hmm. And everybody thought Josh Booty was absolutely the guy.
Yeah.
And remember, Peyton Manning actually visited LSU. Mm-hmm. In fact, I was in the parking lot when I saw them there. But it was a courtesy. But he wasn't coming here. But but then of course Josh Booty. In the end, it was said that Booty actually cost LSU a couple of big quarterbacks. And then when he came back, who did LSU miss out on?
I don't know.
Or did he miss out on the younger brother when he came back?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'd have to go back and look at the years.
All I can say is all those years of missing with quarterbacks, this is why I said earlier about, look, and I love that.
But I can tell you, you know it and I know it. LSU fans did not have their hearts set on either one of those Mannings. Mm-mm. In both cases, when they were seniors, LSU thought they had better players, better commitments, and Josh Booty was all the rage. That's all you could talk about. He was like going to be the savior of LSU football, and signed with the Marlins.
And as we segue into the summer of 2022, really interesting to see what the brain trust of the LSU offensive coaches are doing right now. We know that it was pretty much made aware that Jaden Daniels was coming in, and they were working on his footwork. They were working on his release. They were working on his deep passes. And he's a blur running with the football. So now you got to have a package for Jaden Daniels, whether he's a starter or whether he's your run-pass option or whether he's in the red zone. Now you got Miles Brennan. I'm hearing he's getting in the best shape of his life. Now you want Jaden Daniels to get up closer to 200 because he came over here at 185. I don't know what he weighs. But remember when we were worried about Miles Brennan getting up to 200? Now Miles Brennan is way over 200, but he needed to shed.
Way over.
He's shedding. And so what does he need to work on? Well, he needs to work on pocket presence and making sure that he doesn't try to throw in a small window because he's got that cannon. And obviously, got to know the playbook, but bonding And, I mean, you're not going to have any run option plays for Miles Brennan. He's just not that good. But escapability. And then you got Nussmeier, the X factor. And then you got Walker Howard, who's finally, his body's getting healthy. And this little whippersnapper
He's
is
right.
going to be telling people,
He's right.
hey,
200.
yeah, hey, you might have counted me out, but I'm going to be competing. So here's the quandary. You got 4 guys that stayed, and nobody thought all 4 would stay. But how do you get to where you have the plays that are suited for whoever is going to be your main 3? Mike, I'm going to say it tonight. LSU will play 3 quarterbacks minimum this year. 3. Now, whether that's one in mop-up duty or late in the season, there's no way in hell I see LSU having a quarterback on the roster right now, winning the job in August, and playing the rest of the year and nobody else play. They do too many different things.
Also, what I remember about Josh Booty was he had one of those new Acura NSXs, a red one. And I don't know if he held on to it because that's actually that car's actually worth some money.
Imagine that, folks. He can't get Booty off his mind.
Yeah. Let's see. Detrick Clark, I think you hit the nail on the head. Some of these guys want to see the product Brian Kelly puts on the field. On-field results definitely matters in recruiting. Maybe a little less with NIL. Doug Nose says, Sloan said this morning they will have 3 different packages for Miles, Nuss, and Daniels going into fall ball. Yep, and we'll see. Around 93, 94, Red Stick said. I'd have to go look it up. Nurse Court's got about 100 messages in here.
Nurse Court and Danny, I have got to come up with some kind of football package for those ladies, whether it's food or a gift card or whatever. I can't say enough about the loyalty that they have on all these shows. And you and I were talking about this kind of off. It's amazing, man, how many relationships, folks, are out there where the wife or the girlfriend or the female like the games more than the husband or the guy. And here's the other thing I always ask about this time of the year, Mike. Is Brian Kelly and this LSU football team, are they going to bring back a sleeping stadium that hasn't rocked and been a factor since 19? You start off in the Superdome. You know what happened the last time LSU played in the Superdome? They won the national championship, January 13th, 2020. So you start off good and you got a chance to have a great crowd. Then you got Southern. I'm hearing people all over.
What is LSU's record in the Superdome in the last 20 years?
It's excellent. It's excellent. But some people wanted to move
Well, he had the one blemish.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I don't remember that shutout. But my point is that I firmly believe they will start 4-0, and I think you echoed that sentiment. But if you do that, you have a chance to get the crowd back to close to capacity, loud, crazy, and because this is a hell of a stretch in the schedule, Mike. He's got to win the fan base over the first 4 games to make Tiger Stadium a factor and bring back that home field advantage.
Well, I tell you what, if you're thinking of buying a new home or refinancing your current mortgage but haven't found a lender you can trust, let me tell you about Tony Freeman with Assurance Financial right here in Baton Rouge. Dear friend of mine, someone that many of my friends have used for their mortgage needs over and over. Her 25 years of experience in the mortgage industry is unsurpassed. She offers a wide range of knowledge of home loan products, whether you're a first-time home buyer, ready to buy a new home, or you just want to explore your refinance options. Tony can guide you through your next mortgage experience. You can feel confident you're making the best financial decision with Tony as your guide. Not only is Tony a huge LSU fan, but Assurance Financial is a proud partner of LSU Athletics. Call Tony today, 225-239-7150. Again, 225-239-7150. And please tell her you heard about her right here on TigerBait.com. NMLS number 104765, Equal Housing Opportunity 70876. And again, congratulations on her wedding on Saturday. And I'm very happy for her. And but you need to reach out to her. We got interest rates going up, and she can lock you in and get you in. You know, a lot of people don't want to spend money on anything, but you know, whether you got new family members, we've got a couple of guys that you know, we know that are having babies on the way. You're going to need new rooms, new bigger spaces, and sometimes you got to move, and so you sell your current home for inflationary rates, but you're going to have to buy at inflationary rates. But she's going to walk you through the process, get you the best rates, and it's not just in Louisiana. She's licensed in many states in the South. Give her a call. She's going to get you closed in a hurry, and nobody better with getting all your paperwork together, and she's just a joy to deal with.
Assurance Financial, of course, $1 million smile, doesn't know a stranger, and an incredible person to work with. And of course, Mike, as you know, they are part of the LSU radio network, and you'll hear those ads in baseball and football and basketball. And you know, it's a lot of fun. We start talking about throwing stuff, and what's your take? I'm now hearing the over and under for LSU is right around 7. So if we flew out to Vegas, and Nurse Court,
that's where
Nurse Court's going to go over 7.
You should have jumped on it a month ago when they were doing 6.
6.5.
Yeah,
no, 6.5. I still like over 7, but this is going to be interesting because we saw what they were at what stage they were at in the spring, and you really can't tell much because you're going against your own team. But what do you think they're going to look like in that first game against Florida State?
Well, I mean, do they come out guns a-blazing and the offense is clicking? I tend to think the defense is going to be, you know, what you would typically expect. But I don't know. Maybe they come out and they're a lot more electric offensively than we think. They're going to try to run the ball. I think that's one thing that we're going to want to see. They're going to want to set the tone and have a power running game. So I haven't really studied Florida State. You know, Florida State's got a lot of staff people that, you know, at one time either been in Baton Rouge or at LSU. You know, Fertitta's now on that staff at Georgia, at Florida State after a year in Louisville.
Mm-hmm.
So, and so we're kind of seeing, that's why there's a lot of Louisiana kids getting Florida State offers, and Shelton Sampson visiting Florida State last weekend. So
I just saw some kind of video with Shelton Sampson and LSU. Come on,
he looked good in that uniform. He told me, I think when I saw him 2 weeks ago, he was 205.
Yeah, I did
So
see that.
you can see it on him too. So
But my point was this, Mike. They're going to be better conditioned. They're going to be more disciplined. You know, I think that we have seen with all of the different interviews, they are going to be more bonded and more with team chemistry and the SWAT and all the other things that they have to keep everybody accountable. Look, Jaquelin Roy, a lot of preseason magazines are saying he's a first-round pick. Keyshawn Butte is going to go in the first round if he's not hurt. And B.J. Ojulari, I think, will once again lead LSU with sacks, and I think he's got to be a potential first round. But, look, you can call me a homer or whatever. I think they're going to line up with the fan base, predominantly Tiger, purple and gold in the Superdome, and send a message. Then you got a classic game with Southern, and never happened before. That's going to be awesome. You play Mississippi State, New Mexico. Eddie Nunez gave us Will Wade, and that was a great deal because he was the reason that LSU hired Will Wade, not Joe Leva, right?
right.
But Eddie's the AD at New Mexico, and that's a big check for them coming in to LSU. So right out of the gate, I've got them 4-0, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun to see John Emery, if he's going to make this his money year, what they're going to do with all the receivers, how much do they throw the football, how physical are they at the line of scrimmage, all new and special teams. So this is a book that's going to get written each week, but I just have this quiet calmness and confidence that I think the Tiger fan base is going to be appreciably more happy the way they look and perform their duties both on and off the field. That's what I've taken from 7 months of BK.
Let's see. How tough a ticket is that going to be? Florida State?
That's hard to I don't know. They'll probably send 5,000. I mean, does LSU?
How tough a ticket is Southern going to be?
That's going to be interesting. I think that could be.
I can't wait for that halftime.
Oh man, that's going to be awesome. Are you kidding? The human jukebox and the golden band from Tigerland and all of the pageantry. In fact, you know what?
That'll be disappointing if that's not a sellout.
Hey, let's do it now. Let's do it if it's possible. Let's get a TigerBait get together before the LSU Southern game. Nurse Court, Danny, Snake, everybody else. Where's Tiger Shark tonight?
Yeah,
where's Carl?
You got to find a venue.
Well, I'm just talking about to meet up and chew the fat, and I'll bring some Manda sausage, and you bring all the booze.
Yeah, Jim Milano says Southern will win the halftime show.
Well, let me tell you what, the Dancing Dolls and the Golden Girls.
You know what would be funny is if they come into Tiger Stadium and play neck.
I've had a lot of people talk about that.
Yeah.
I'm going to have Roman Banks, their AD, on the show here in a couple
I hope
weeks.
they do. And look, Nurse Court's hit it too. First up, neck by the human jukebox.
Oh, man. I think in Nurse Court's heyday.
Takeover says Battle of Neck. Yeah, I mean, it's their song. I mean, they're going to play it.
Sure. Well, they probably won't have the ST.
That will get the whole stadium fun. That'll be fun.
Yeah.
I believe.
I think it's going to be great. Hopefully it's going to be great, and it will bond this city. It's a big check.
I think this is going to be a deal where, LSU's played McNeese several times and so on. And
no, but this is historical, Mike.
Yeah, and I think the way this is going to go off, I think there's going to be some, like they should have done it sooner. I think that's going to be the refrain after it's over with. Aaron Allgood, Mike, who do you think are the top 5 in-state players on LSU's board? Shelton Sampson, Derek Williams. You've got one of them already, and Trey Holly committed. Yeah. Caleb Jackson. We keep talking about how there's no tackles and no defensive ends. Does Jordan Matthews move up that list now? I really like Kai Pring. Nobody talks about him enough.
By the way, I saw you. I meant to ask you about that today. You have projected. Mike called him the next early Doucette, and early go ahead and tell the story. You guaranteed early was coming to.
Well, I'm not guaranteeing it, but I did put in a prediction for Kai Pring to LSU last Saturday on our message board. But he just really looks the part. Now we're going to wait and see. I hear they're really upbeat about him going to be getting to be ruled eligible. I hope that does happen. But he does not get talked about enough. I think he can be very, very special. And I think if he does indeed get eligible, we're going to make a beeline to one of St. James's early games. I'm not sure what they have quarterback-wise. And that's kind of one of the deals that why Shaz didn't have that big of a highlight tape is because they just didn't have the quarterback that could get it to him a lot. I don't know if that's going to be any different. But when you do get it to him, he's electric. So, and in fact, it was neat seeing. I saw Sean Preston, Shaz's daddy, at camp last week, and he's heavily involved with a lot of local athletes. And I said, what's the over and under of when Shaz hits the portal? And he said, man, don't be doing that to me. And but that's something you got to think about with all those types of kids. We're going to see how this plays out here.
Oh, by the way, let's mention Cortez Hankton is in here. And, folks, he is a big-time coach that is an excellent recruiter. And I never worry about LSU recruiting wide receivers, Mike. We mentioned this today. We had a couple of Les Miles. Mike made a couple of Les Miles jokes. But Les Miles, even with that archaic 1960s Michigan offense, was able to recruit wide receivers like Malachi and all the others. And yet now that LSU's throwing it around a little bit with Hankton in the state, I have no problems with wide receiver moving forward.
Red Stick 20. Kai is another kid that had to wait a long. Well, actually, he didn't. He got an offer from LSU several months at the junior day, In fact, I remember reaching out to him saying, "Are you going to the junior day?" And that's one of the last things that Coach Valdez did, but while St. James coach, was to bring him to LSU's junior day. And that's when he got the offer. So he actually got an offer it was a re-offer. He had an offer from the old staff. So he's had one. It's not like Jordan Matthews with him. So, he's like I said, my prediction is LSU for Kai Preen.
Okay, I like it.
So,
hey, by the way, one of the things that I said earlier in the opening, and Mike, if you remember the spring game, LSU was decimated at cornerback. And I know you made mention, whether it was on the site or whatever. And look, we know the big fella from ULL at 6'2", 215 is going to be a player. And you know you got Seven Banks coming in here from Ohio State, and he's going to be hit and miss. This is his money year. And you know you got Jared Bernard Converse, who you saw that film, or you saw him somewhere working out. Maybe it was at one of the camps.
no, he was because we're out of camp. He was out on a practice field with, a staffer, not an assistant coach, because they can't work him out individually. And man, he's put together.
All three of those guys are over 6'1".
What do they list him at, height wise?
6'1", 205.
He looked about 6'2", 215.
Well, he might
to
be
me.
6'2", whatever. But my point is that you got three big corners. Demarius McGee worked his tail off last year and hung in there. And then you got Jordan Allen coming in from Trev School, and the other kid that's a burner from Texas. I think cornerback is going to be appreciably better in the fall than it was on what we saw in the spring.
Yeah, he was turning, backpedaling, moving around good, getting a solid workout in on his own, and so that's. But he physically he is impressive looking.
Jalen Davis Robinson is that kid from Texas that's a blur. And look, you and I agree. Jordan Allen may struggle to get into too deep, but he's going to play on special teams. He is spicy. That kid is going to be a firecracker at LSU.
By the way, right before we went live, Quentin Skinner announced he was going to Troy, so he put that on Twitter. And but you had some baseball stuff you want to get out tonight?
Well, look, you mentioned that I was a little negative on baseball. I just wanted to clarify that we were talking about this with Ben McDonald. I have Todd Walker on Friday, and most people I've talked to said that you got to give Coach Johnson and his staff a solid B grade. Now, like Ben said, if you don't make it Omaha, you can't make an A. So you got a B for the first year. But lo and behold, Mike, there wasn't a lot of pitching left that carried over.
I mean, how's that not a B plus when you consider he had zero pitching and he was, very close to getting to hosting a super region,
solid B or B plus,
a 4 seed in the SEC tournament.
But here's where I was talking about being disappointed. Okay, did they have patience at the plate in 2021? They were so lacking of patience. They'd go up there and swing at the first pitch, and they started to get into some of those bad habits. I'm watching the Southern Miss game closely, and there must have been in those 3 games at least 12 to 15 times where LSU swung at ball 4. And the coach is telling him, don't swing at ball 4, and they did it. And then you get into the defense. Now, it wasn't bad at the end, but it certainly had their holes. Then you get into base running. You get all these little things. The pitching left. The bullpen was tired. And here's the other thing, which coaches don't care about, but I think Jay Johnson did learn. Baton Rouge is not that great a place if you play 4-hour games and you lose. If you win all of them in their 4-hour games, people stomach it.
Some are hitting 5.
So all of that. How about this in the first year? He comes to LSU. He's in the SEC West. And 50% of the CWS field is from the SEC West. So he embraces the expectations. They've got an excellent pitcher, Dylan Tybrock from Creighton, 21-5. He's going to be one of the starters. They're working on pitchers. They're working on shortstops. The guys that have
I
left.
thought the over and under on guys that had eligibility left that might not be back was
here's
15. You thinking it might be as high as 18?
Yeah, here's who's already left. Brennan Holt's going to Okie State. DiGiacomo is going somewhere. Brody Dross is going somewhere. Collier Cranford, who played third base when Barry was hurt, he's leaving. Michael Fowler's leaving. Blaze Priester, the catcher from Live Oak, is leaving. And the other thing that we need to all pray about, and I don't want to bring religion in here, but the injury karma. You've got to get rid of it. I've never seen a year or two where all the LSU teams had so many injuries. You go back to Stingley and Ricks and all the stuff in football. You go back to Miller in basketball. You go back to Kim Mulkey lost some in her team. And then you look at what Jay Johnson lost, Alex Milazzo, Cade Beloso, all these other guys. So I'm hoping that I appreciate Gordon McKernan and what he did for NIL, but I wish he could give a little positive injury karma to LSU. Look, you can't afford to have all these injuries in baseball, and there were a handful this year.
I'm told that Jay Johnson has been working nonstop since they got back home from Hattiesburg.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
he's the man for the job. Look, my point about the 4 hours was this. He is a different type of coach. He's very meticulous. He likes to communicate, and you see how many times he stopped and talked to a guy before he went up to the plate and all of that. And you know, it's funny, Mike, as Tony Vitello and Tennessee, I had a buddy of mine in South Bend. He's got a T-shirt shop. He sold 1,200 T-shirts the day after the regional, Catholics versus the Crybabies, and Tennessee. A lot of LSU fans wanted a Lamborghini driving Tony Vitello, and what did we say? He is to baseball like Lane Kiffin is to football. That's not Scott Woodward's cup of tea to bring into LSU.
He's worse than Lane Kiffin.
I'm just telling you, they're very paralleled as to what they bring to the table.
Yeah.
They're both cocky. Kiffin is a better Twitter troll. But the bottom line is,
Kiffin's the guy that you'd have fun playing around at golf with.
yeah.
You know.
But I'm just saying, it doesn't, in my whole crux of the story, Mike, not always the most talent and the best teams win. You've got to peak at the right time. You've got to have leadership. You've got to have people that put teams on their back. And, oh, by the way, Joe Burrow put Cincinnati on their back, and now he's getting a bunch of criticism because he's talking about gun laws and all this other stuff. I hate it when athletes start putting politics out there, but that's still going to be a hell of a ticket when Cincinnati comes in to play the Saints in the Dome. And God bless the fact that Scott and everybody that I know that are big Tiger and Saints fans, they are lit up and on fire to be able to go see the Saints this year with the Honey Badger and Jarvis coming back. It's finally good to get a few LSU people.
And I want to go when the Bengals come to town.
Yeah, that's going to be an NIL type of ticket.
That's the tough ticket. I don't know. There's not an LSU game on the schedule that's going to be as tough a ticket as that Bengals Saints game.
Yeah, I agree.
Guys, we're going to have a big live camp thread the next 2 days for the elite camp at LSU. We absolutely have been loading those up each camp. So you're going to have photos there, tidbits, observations. That'll get cranked up tomorrow. So go to TigerBait. You want to subscribe. Text alerts for any breaking news will go directly to your cell phone. If you're a subscriber, be sure to sign up for that. There's the how-to pin, push pin on the top of the Tiger Den premium message board. I'm going to be living on that board the next 3 days as we get through the last 2 days of camp, official visits. And then you're going to hit July in a dead period, but you're going to have SEC football media days. And then you'll get a little bit of an opening at the end of July for some more visits. And then fall camp will be here before you know it. So, but we're very busy on TigerBait. Brian Lazar's got a couple of columns coming our way in the next week also. And I think much like Matt McMahon with the news and basketball recruiting, I think we're going to get a whirlwind of Jay Johnson in the next 30 days.
Absolutely.
So subscribe to TigerBait. We want to have you. Choose the annual package. But you can just never forget. You can try us out for $1 for a week and get on the site. We want to have you. And just like our chats tonight, I'm on our message boards day and night. And we've got a great group of subscribers who drive conversation. So go subscribe after the show's over with. Choose the annual package. You save 3 months. You only get billed once a year. And we'll be back here next week. And I'll be on TigerBait between now and then. So, all right, guys. Thanks for everybody participating. Thanks to Buddy for coming in. And we'll see you on the other side. Good night.